Star Wars Jedi Survivor has been out for a few days now. I haven't posted any content on it yet because, frankly, I've been enjoying it and I've been wanting to soak it in for myself. And it's rare that games, these days especially, get me into that sort of headspace where I feel comfortable just dropping the ball, playing the game and enjoying it. And yeah, that's basically going to change now. For Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, I could only really find 7 worthwhile secrets to talk about. However, since this game is much larger, more expansive, with much more open areas and more places to explore, we should easily be able to find 10, and you know what? We have done. So in today's video, we are going to be exploring 10 Star Wars Jedi Survivor secrets. I would say that many players missed, but I think we can all agree that most players haven't had the opportunity to play the game yet. Naturally, I'll issue a spoiler warning because, though I don't plan to get too spoilery, I can't promise that this video will be entirely spoiler-free by everybody's definition. Besides that, down in the description you'll be able to find the timestamps, so if you know a secret you don't have to suffer my annoying voice any longer than you need/want to. With all of that covered, we won't delay any further. Let's begin. On Coruscant, at the very beginning of the game, one might understandably blast through the introduction, because I find starting a new game overwhelming myself. I understand you're eager to get cracking, you're eager to get going. However, if your observation skills don't lapse at this time, you may notice a rather snazzy detail as you're traversing through this space. At one point in the opening set piece, a beam below you gives way and you fall and have to deal with a bunch of stormtroopers and all sorts. It's a bit of a hefty scrap, but what you may not notice when the dust settles is this speeder. If this speeder seems familiar, it may be because you are remembering Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones. This speeder is identical to Anakin Skywalker's during the chase on Coruscant in that movie. Whether or not it's the exact same speeder, the exact same unit, is unclear. I'd imagine in the Star Wars canon it wasn't exactly a rare model. But if you're returning to Coruscant, you can find it in Renovation Site 4733, though the map may not be of much use considering it doesn't clearly mark north, east, south or west, which I find to be incredibly disorienting. You can find the same speeder again outside of Pyloon's Saloon on Kobo. It feels like a clear reference, and that's where I'll leave that one. Our second secret is going to take us to a cave located at this spot in Harvest Ridge in the Rambler's Reach area of Kobo. The cave is home to a rather unruly and unfriendly beast, so it's going to need to die brutally. With that taken care of, we're now for the most part free to explore this place in peace. Using roots and vines to clamber up to the upper level of this cave, you're going to want to head towards this really dimly lit portion and then just force yourself against the wall because there's a hidden crack that you can go through. Most of the passages like this in the game are far more obvious and are fairly brief by comparison, but you'll be mooching down through this narrow passageway for a good couple of minutes. However, I like to think the outcome of your perseverance is worth it in this instance. When you make it to the light at the end of the tunnel, you find yourself in a chamber with a rather questionable scene. 3 unmoving droids painting a rather questionably posed creature. You don't have to worry about a scrap because they are completely inanimate no matter what. One droid has even removed its head so it can get a better view of this monstrosity whilst it paints. There's no other reward for being here, you just get punished for putting yourself through that really long, narrow corridor. There's also not much context either, as that is clearly not the point. But the exit leads us straight back out into the cave. It appears we've done a full circle, however you can't go back in the way you exited. If you want to go back and look at it again, and why would you, you'd need to go through 5 minutes of that again. With that one now positively burned in your memory, let's move on. For some reason, Kobo is home to Boglings from Bogano, and since the Bogling companion is gone from the Mantis and Grease now calls Kobo his home, I think it's safe to put 2 and 2 together and say that we accidentally destroyed this planet's ecosystem. But the important detail is, yes, you can indeed pet the Boglings. This can only happen some of the time when you encounter Boglings out in the wild, but doing so will grant you a trophy/achievement titled Can You Pet the Bogling? So definitely pet the first Bogling you get the opportunity to. The trophy itself is likely a reference to this rather popular Twitter account dedicated to recording every pettable interaction with an animal in video games. And that account did indeed also bring up the prospect that Cal Kestis introduced a potentially invasive species to a new ecosystem. When you first arrived on Kobo, you may remember this particular encounter with a pit droid.
Stuck ship, huh? Tell me about it. Wish we could help.
At the start of the game, there's not an awful lot that you can do for this poor fella, but with the abilities unlocked later on in the main story, you can actually return and help him out. And doing so will unlock the trophy/achievement, There Is No Try. Very nice. If you've forgotten where to locate the pit droid, he can be found at the Gorge crash site in Dredger Gorge here. Secret number 5 brings us to the house behind Doma's outpost commodities, also on Kobo, which is a recurring theme for this video, I'm well aware. Now this one, at the very least, shouldn't be too hard to find at all. First thing you'll notice about this particular gaff is it appears to be securityed to fuck. And to get in, you'll need to use a couple of abilities that you unlock later on in the main story, so you may want to come back later. But this geezer certainly isn't too keen on the intrusion.
Who? Who?
A stranger in these parts. Just looking around.
Well, away with ya! Nothing for you here!
So you have nothing to fear.
I have nothing to fear.
I'm just a friend dropping by.
You're just a friend dropping by. In, quickly! You're letting the dust inside!
With the use of the Jedi mind trick, you can now explore this portion of the building in peace, and you can discover a couple of documents. These monoliths, I cannot figure them out, which is always compelling. The locals say some ancient treasure is hidden inside, but nobody has been able to crack them. He is much more interested than I am, however, which is becoming something of concern. I will crack them. I will dig in, find their treasures, no matter what. I will get in. However, the discovery comes in when we venture downstairs into the basement.
Brother, don't ignore me. You can't stop me. I won't let you! There's still time. Time to go, to walk away!
He killed his own brother.
Upon discovering the corpse of his brother in the basement, Soont Madas will attack us. Upon facing him, his bio will read, a local prospector and technologist who has become an increasingly hostile and self-isolated obsessive. Whatever he was after, he felt it was necessary, his brother had to die for it. Grease's Cantina on Kobo, Pyloon's Saloon, is a good place to chill out and interact with characters in a peaceful environment. However, you can also dig through the toilet. Doing so will unlock the achievement/trophy Cleaning Up, and you'll get a Priorite Shard. Now don't forget to wash your hands. Earlier in April, Cameron Monaghan, the actor who portrays Cal Kestis in the game, kicked up an awful lot of fuss about ponchos when he made an appearance at Star Wars Celebration.
Will there be a poncho in the game?
The answer to that question, as it turns out, is yes. However, I guarantee you're absolutely going to fucking loathe how you get a hold of it. You're going to want to head to this particular area of Harvest Ridge Rambler's Reach on Kobo. It's a big-ass fortress filled to the brim with Bedlam Raiders and battle droids, so good luck. The meditation point closest is inside the fort itself, and it's referred to as Fort Carleen. Once inside the fort, you're going to be looking for this little pad area. Don't make the mistake of stepping on this before you've killed the droids, trust me. Because once you do, you will be dropped into this layer where you will face the spawn of Oggdo. The infuriating early game boss fight on Bogano in Jedi Fallen Order is back for payback. And unless you're playing on literal piss easy difficulty, chances are you are going to become its dinner. However, regardless of how you defeat it, once it is defeated, you can then find the ponchos in a box. Unlike with most unlocked outfit components, you can immediately customize the colours in a very restricted way. There are 6 in total. Hey, at least you've got ponchos now and you've defeated the Oggdo once more. But that, unfortunately, is not all. Before we continue, the spawn of Oggdo's bio reads as follows. What was begun on Bogano has now spread beyond its bounds, seemingly unstoppable. Is this Oggdo the spawn of the legendary Bogdo, bent singularly on revenge for its fallen progenitor? It is impossible to say, but what is certain is this fearsome beast is as powerful as it is long-tongued. Where it gets worse is during that fight, we have a spectator.
It's judging me.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Frog of Judgement, and this is not the last time we will encounter him, for he also appears in Doma's Outpost commodities, and yes, it can be interacted with once again.
A sense of foul presence. No, it couldn't be.
Interacting with the Frog of Judgement when it appears in Doma's shop will lead to the opening of this force fracture thing. And congratulations, now you've got to fight the spawn of Oggdo and the Oggdo Bogdo at the same time, because Respawn are hellbent on making the frog trauma worse. Who on earth thought this was genuinely a good idea? Because I'm not entirely certain if they deserve a pay rise or to be tried for war crimes. But now you know, if you see a frog, run. Or is it a toad? It's a fucking space alien creature, who gives a shit? I think this one's actually impossible to avoid whilst doing the main storyline, but it's worth mentioning regardless, because whoever came up with it absolutely deserves their money. Whilst fighting your way through an Imperial base for plot reasons, there's every chance you're going to encounter the hardest boss fight in the game.
A Jedi! Get ready to die!
This is Rick the door technician, and you can more or less one-hit kill him. And finally, our secret number 10, if you can even call it that, requires us to play New Game Plus, where we will unlock 2 new lightsaber colours. There is of course the red blade, which is the same as Jedi Fallen Order, except it doesn't appear to actually be red this time. And then there's the Party Saber. It doesn't pulse different colours all at once, which would be my preference, but instead every time you swing the weapon, it changes colour, cycling through every lightsaber colour for every movement, which I suppose is cool. If you're swinging your lightsaber in a dark area, you could certainly imagine yourself in some space disco, but I don't think I'm going to be using this purely because it got on my nerves recording this footage, let alone using it for longer than I absolutely had to. But it's there, and it's a cool benefit to doing a New Game Plus playthrough, if that's what you fancy doing. Anyway, that brings us nicely to the end of today's video. 10 Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order secrets. I've got a theory that I could probably do a part 2 or even a part 3 to this video, but we'll see. Be sure to let me know anything you feel would be worth a spot in those videos down in the comment section, or anything you think that I might have missed or not seen. Just let me know what's out there, I suppose. There are a few other things that I'm aware of as of right now, which is a good indicator that there's usually quite a fair bit. I didn't go over anything on Jeddah. I'm sure there will be plenty out there as well to perhaps make part 2 a more interesting video, of course. But for now, thank you all for watching this video. I really hope that you've enjoyed. Be sure to go ahead, leave a like, subscribe, share the channel with your friends, all that wonderful stuff. That would be, of course, massively appreciated. If you like history, maybe check out our history channel, Decades. It recently saw a booming growth thanks to a larger history content creator reacting to some of our content and sharing it with his community, which was massively appreciated. And so as a result, Decades is now sitting at around 11,000 subscribers, which is surreal considering only a few days ago we were at 8,500. So if you fancy adding to that number and enjoy a little bit of history content on the side, then definitely check it out. But if not, no pressure, that's perfectly fine. There is plenty of content that's going to be coming out here as well, so I'll keep you posted on that as I go along. But with any luck, I'll be seeing you all very soon with another video at some point. But until next time, take care and goodbye.